Today's topic is God can use anybody. So every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. So it doesn't matter how screwed, messed, sinful your life is, God has called and chosen you to serve Him just the way you are. God doesn't need you to change for Him to use you. So we were all created to make contribution to the world. We were not created to just go to school, get a job, get married, have children, retire. God had a purpose for each and every one of us. From the book of Galatians chapter 1 verses 15, the Bible says, "But even before I was born, God had called and chosen me to serve Him." So, meaning that before we were even conceived in our mother's womb, God knew all the crazy things, all the dumb things all the sins that we've committed, the sins that we yet to commit. But in His mercy, He still chose and called us to serve Him just the way we are. From the book of Romans, chapter 6, verses 13, the Bible says, "Give yourselves completely to God, every part of you, because you've been brought from death to life, and now you want to be used for His purpose and for His righteousness." Yes, God has called and chosen each and every one of us to serve Him. But the truth is, a lot of people fear being used by God because they either feel disqualified or unqualified to serve God. For example, we have people who feel disqualified because of their past mistakes. The problem is that a lot of people fear being used by God because they either feel disqualified or unqualified to serve God. Someone may feel unqualified because they don't have the talent or the gift, they don't have the background, the education to serve God. But today I want to challenge each and every one of us who feels unqualified to serve God. That did Jesus have the background, the purpose to serve God? Yet He served God in very mighty ways. So for someone who feels unqualified, it is a challenge that God has called and chosen you to serve Him just the way you are. You don't need the background, you don't need those papers, you don't need the gifts. What God has chosen is your heart, and the willingness to serve Him is what matters. So making a decision that yes, God, here I am, I'm ready and willing to serve you, is everything that you need. And to those of us who feel disqualified to serve God because of our previous mistakes, I want to encourage each and every one of us that the fact that God chose you, the fact that even before we were born or even before we were conceived in our mother's womb, God knew all the crazy things that we've committed, all the crazy sins that we've committed and the sins that we yet to commit, should encourage each and every one of us that God has chosen us because of His mercy, because of His grace being sufficient for each and every one of us. So it doesn't matter how messed our life is or how wicked we've been previously, God has called us and He's ready to use us. So today I want us to look at the very famous people in the Bible that God used, irrespective of their past, that we may consider a mistake. For example, God started using Abraham when he was really old. It was like 100 when God called him and started using him. And so it is an encouragement to us who feel like I'm 30, I'm 50, I'm 60, like I've wasted my whole life. How do I start serving God at my old age? Yes, you've wasted time, but you've not wasted as much as Abraham wasted, and still God used him irrespective of his age. Another person is Rahab. She was a prostitute, yes, but God used her to protect his men from their enemies. So it is written in the Bible that Rahab is recognized as a woman of faith, great faith for that matter. So God used her mistake for his glory. Another man that God used, irrespective of his mistake, is Paul. Paul, previously, before God called him, he persecuted Christians, he killed. So Paul was actually a murderer. He killed Christians. But God used him in very mighty ways. Paul wrote 3/4 of the New Testament, irrespective of his mistake. So another person that God used is King David. King David took a married woman, and he also made plans on how the husband to this lady was to be killed. And according to me, that would be maybe the worst mistake. But God still chose David and used him. So King David wrote in the book of Psalm, irrespective of his mistake. Another person is the Samaritan woman. This lady had several failed marriages, and she also went out with several married men. But irrespective of her mistakes, God chose her, called her, and used her mistakes to transform the entire community. So the entire community got to understand or know more about God through the same Samaritan woman. So God used her mistake to transform our entire community. Another person you can talk of, Jacob, Moses. Like each and every person that God used in the Bible, they had their own mistakes, they had their own weaknesses, but God used them in very mighty ways, irrespective of their mistakes. So these people should serve as an example to encourage each and every one of us that irrespective of our past, our mistakes, God has called and chosen each and every one of us to serve Him. So we should not remain stagnant where we are because of our mistakes, because of what we've done in the past. We should acknowledge that God died for us, our sins, and He has called us to serve Him. And you don't need to serve God in very mighty ways, like you waiting to understand the whole Bible, to stand before people and preach, or give a testimony. You can serve God in very minimal ways, but these very minimal ways to you might be very magnificent before God. Even offering yourself to serve God by cleaning the church, offering to give, let's say there's a construction going on in the church, offering to give the servant of God tea or porridge, offering yourself to be part of the choir, offering yourself to be part of the deacon or deaconesses. You're still serving God. You don't need necessarily to stand before people and preach to serve God. God has called each and every one of us to serve Him the way we are.